Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. So, we have some quadratics, the ones we're dealing with today. Some quadratics are incomplete. And we typically use this method. We say it's incomplete when the C value is not perfect or it's missing. So when the C value is not perfect, or even if the C value is just plain old missing, there is no C value. So we use this theory, this idea, this way of solving. It's called completing the square. So to complete the square, what you're going to do for every single one of these problems, you are going to use a formula. And to complete the square, you use the formula b divided by 2. So you have to memorize this. B divided by 2 negative, or b divided by 2 squared. So we'll write that in words. We're going to do b divided by 2 first, so we get our quotient, our answer. And then we square it. Well, that's the formula we use. Then we have to apply it. There are 6 steps. So step number 1. If there is a C value, we want to rewrite the equation as ax squared plus bx equals c. So if there's a C value, if the C value they give you is not perfect, so they give you plus 10, you need to rewrite the problem and move that C value across the equal sign. Sometimes it's already written this way and we're good. Other times we have to move that C value and work from there. Rewrite the equation as ax squared plus bx plus c. Does that seem pretty easy? I mean, all it is inverse operation. Then we go to step 2, which is b divided by 2 squared. Then we go to step 2, which is the b value, whatever this number is, divided by 2. Take that answer and square it. Step 3 is we add b divided by 2 squared, whatever that number is we get for number 2. We add that to both sides. So if we get, 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 5 squared is 25, I'm going to add 25 to both sides of my problem. Step 4 is to factor. Step 5 is to square root. And step 6 is to solve 2 times. So step 1 is to rewrite the problem. Maybe you skip step 1. Step 2 is b divided by 2 squared. Step 3 is to add that value, b divided by 2 squared, to both sides of the equation. Step 4 is to factor, step 5 is to square root, and step 6 is to solve 2 times. It seems like a lot of steps, but it goes pretty fast. Ready to practice? Here we go. X squared plus 10x equals -9. So you're going to see a problem like this on your homework tonight. Step 1, rewrite the problem, rewrite the equation ax squared plus bx equals c. Do I need to do that? Step 1 is already done. Step 2, b divided by 2 squared. What's my b value? 10. So I'm going to do 10 divided by 2 squared. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. So far, pretty easy, yes? Okay. Step 3. Add the answer, so what do we get? 25, to both sides. So I'm going to take 25 and I'm going to add it to here, and I'm going to add it to here. Who can tell me the new problem, the new left side of my equation? Alex? X squared plus 10x, that doesn't change, and then I'm adding a 25. It can't get combined with anything because they're not like terms. Aiden, what's my new right side say? 16. Perfect. -9 plus 25 is 16. Four, factor. It should be an easy factor. Factors of 25 that have a sum of 10. What times what is 25, but when you add it together, it gives you 10? Katie?
5.
X plus 5 and x plus 5 equals 16. And you guys, the beauty of this whole process is these should be the same. Because you're putting a square in here. You're taking something and you're squaring it. So your answer, whatever you add to both sides, will automatically be a perfect square. So if you put in 36 here, most likely it's going to be 6 and 6. If you put in 45, you can't. That's not a perfect square. This is going to happen every single time, and it's going to be fantastic and easy. Step 5, square root. So if I take the square root of this side, I have to take the square root of this side, correct? Both have to be square rooted. Is there another way of writing x plus 5 times x plus 5?
X plus 5 squared.
I could write it x plus 5 squared. And if you take the square root of something that's squared, what happens? It cancels out. So what am I left with? X plus 5 equals, what's the square root of 16? What? What?
Positive or negative 4?
Thank you. Plus or minus 4. That's the hardest thing about all of these problems, is remembering that it's plus or minus. Number 6. Step 6, solve 2 times. My first problem is x plus 5 equals 4. My next problem is x plus 5 equals negative 4. My first value is x equals negative 1. My second value is x equals negative 9. And I'm done. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you wouldn't use completing the square. Oh wait, let's try another one. X squared plus 14x minus 8 equals 0. What? Oh wait, so this problem, I don't want to graph it because I don't want to have to deal with negative 8 and 14. Those values are too big for me to graph. I can't factor it because negative 8, factors of 8 that have a sum of 14 don't exist. I can't do square roots because we can only do square roots if there's no b value, and there is a b value. So I need to use completing the square. So completing the square, step number 1, rewrite the equation so that it equals c. So I have to do step number 1. How do I rewrite this equation? Add 8 to both sides. So x squared plus 14x equals positive 8. I take this negative 8 and I move it over here. And when I move it across the equal sign, it changes its operation. It goes from negative to positive. So step number 1. All right, so step number 2. B divided by 2 squared. What's my b value?
The b value is 14.
Divided by 2 squared. 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 7 squared is 49. Step 3, add that answer, so 49 in this problem, to both sides. X squared plus 14x plus 49 equals 57. Step 4, factor. Factors of 49 that have a sum of 14. X plus 7, x plus 7 equals 57. Step 5 is to square root both sides. X plus 7, x plus 7, I want the square root of that, and I want the square root of 57. If you have the same thing twice, that's like writing it as squared, and the square root of squaring something cancels out. So what's left over? X plus 7 equals, do you know the radical 57? All right, if I put, it can't simplify, so let's change it to a, so let's do hundredth, 7 point, but it's not 7.55, it's plus or minus 7.55. And last but not least, step number 6 is to write it 2 times. X plus 7 equals 7.55. And x minus 7 equals, no, plus 7 equals negative 7.55. Right? Same problem, but it has 2 different answers. Minus 7, x equals 0.55. Minus 7, x equals negative 14.55. Those are your 2 values. So again, if you follow these steps, step 1, make sure that the C is on the other side. They may not give you a C.